Poco X3. To talk about Poco X3, let's begin with the performance section. Poco X2 was already a very special product. Now for Poco X3, we had to do something more special. Now to think about it, the first thing we attacked was the processor. Long story short, we were able to turn around a new chipset in partnership with Qualcomm on this. So we are happy to announce that Poco X3 will be the first product in the world being powered by this chipset, Snapdragon 732G. Now to move ahead, let's talk a little bit about the numbers. Snapdragon 732G chipset on the Poco X3 comfortably beats the other chipsets in this price segment, let it be Snapdragon 720G or for that matter, even the Snapdragon 730G. Poco X3 clocks a good 3 lakh points on the Antutu benchmarking. The Snapdragon 732G chipset comes with 8 Cryo 470 cores. Of this, 2 gold cores are clocked at a massive 2.3 GHz and the 6 silver cores are clocked at 1.8 GHz. Living up to Poco standards, the Poco X3 will be a gamer's delight. Poco X3 will be powered by the Adreno 618 GPU, which is 15% more faster than the previous generation. It will also have a lot of Qualcomm Elite gaming features for all the gamers out there. With the 732G chipset, the AI performance goes up significantly and it can now perform 3.6 trillion operations a second. How this translates into real-life usage is now, with this chipset, it has faster photo processing and enhanced DSP among others. In all, the Snapdragon 732G chipset is an upgrade on all fronts: CPU, GPU and AI benchmarks. In fact, there is no competition at all when putting it against SD720G and SD730G. This chipset beats all of these chipsets fair and square on CPU, GPU and AI Antutu benchmarks. So folks, Snapdragon 732G chipset is more than a simple incremental upgrade. It is much more than that. And that's what makes Poco X3 a true king for its segment and takes the mantle from Poco X2. At Poco, we use the best components to give you the max performance. Poco X3 comes with UFS 2.1 storage, up to 8 GB of LPDDR4X RAM, and expandable storage of up to 512 GB. And now to the liquid cooled technology. We started with this feature back in 2018 with the Poco F1 and we have refined it manifold, and today we are glad to announce the liquid cooled technology plus, which features in Poco X3. Compared to the previous generation, this liquid cooled technology has a 70% larger heat pipe. Along with that, multiple layers of graphite layers. With this, your phone will run 6 degrees cooler than the previous generation. Now to summarize the performance section on Poco X3, Poco X3 has the latest and the powerful Snapdragon 732G chipset. It also has up to 8 GB of LPDDR4X RAM and it features the latest liquid cooled technology plus. Moving on to the display section. Something that has set Poco apart from the rest is the display. We realized that in Poco X2 and we are now featuring that in Poco X3. Poco X3 comes with a large 6.67-inch cinematic display with a Full HD Plus resolution. Now to my favorite part on the display, Poco X3 has the 120Hz panel powered by the Reality Flow engine. Now I know that I don't stress this a lot, but those of you who have experienced on Poco X2 know that it's a big deal. Thus, Poco X3 reduces the refresh rate when it is not needed. Now imagine this, you're probably viewing an image on the gallery. At that point in time, why do you need your phone to refresh 120 times a second? Rather, reduce the refresh rate and save a lot of battery life. So Dynamic Switch helps conserve battery life by adjusting to the user patterns to ensure a longer battery. After the refresh rate on the display, now let's talk about the touch sampling rate. Touch sampling rate defines how your phone registers your touch inputs. Poco X3 comes with a massive 240 Hz touch sampling rate. What this means that Poco X3 as a device registers the touch 240 times a second. What this implies is that Poco X3 has a touch sampling rate 33% more superior and better than other flagships around. To the gaming section on Poco X3. But to talk about gaming, let's all welcome the newest member to the Poco family, Mr. Anuj Sharma, Country Director, Poco India. Anuj, over to you.
Thanks, Manchu. Now with a gorgeous 120Hz reality flow display and the best-in-class Snapdragon 732G processor, of course you're going to get an amazing experience, whether it's media consumption or gaming. But being a bit of a gamer myself, what I'm really interested in is those really long gaming sessions, or how we want to call it in Poco, prolonged gaming. And this is where the X3 starts to really shine. In fact, what we've done for the very first time with Poco, you are getting a 6000 mAh battery. It's humongous and it goes perfectly with the hardware that Mancho just spoke about. Now with a mammoth 6000 mAh battery on the Poco X3, you can in fact game for 14 hours straight. I wouldn't really recommend that. Do take breaks, hydrate, but if you need to, it has that battery power. Not just for gamers, if you want to go in for binge watching a lot of media, well, this battery has you covered for 31 hours straight. Now that's amazing battery backup on the Poco X3. We are talking serious battery power in this case. That means on a single charge, the Poco X3 is going to be good for 2+ days. But when you need to recharge, we've got you covered there as well. The Poco X3, like our other devices, obviously comes with fast charging capabilities. In fact, you are getting a 33-watt charger in the box with every Poco X3. However, if you think you know about this 33-watt charging, let me correct you on that one. This one actually is 26% faster versus other 33-watt chargers. And how does that happen? Well, we are using an all-new technology on the Poco X3. We are calling it MMT, or middle tab. It basically helps you charge the overall battery a lot faster than traditional charging methods. Now with the Poco X3, you're looking at a formidable gaming phone. Not just the reality 120Hz display or an all-new powerful Snapdragon 732G processor, it's even got a bigger battery, a 6000 mAh battery that charges faster, up to 26% faster than regular 33-watt charging. And to top it off, of course, you have liquid cooling. As all gamers will tell you, it's not just about the visuals, it's not just about great performance, but one important thing in today's games is also sound. Well, happy to share, on the Poco X3, we are introducing dual stereo speakers. You are absolutely going to love the whole directional element that gets added to your gaming. But not just for gamers, even if you are an avid media consumer, you're going to really love these speakers. Adding on to the sound bit, we also have support for high-res audio, and for those people who like to listen to media or music wirelessly, we are adding support for aptX HD on the Poco X3. So in a nutshell, with the Poco X3, you're getting great battery, you're getting great sound, amazing display, and the best-in-class performance. However, one more thing that really matters if you are gaming online is connectivity. And for that, we have added a 2x2 MIMO support to Poco X3. So wherever you might be at home, you always have the signal strength and optimal pings to get the best gaming experience. The Poco X3 has some incredible gaming hardware. You've got an amazing processor, you've got amazing display, you saw a massive battery coming in that charges faster, dual stereo speakers, but now the cameras in the X3 were a bit of a challenge to place, right? So what you've seen is better, bigger hardware, a bigger battery, and that normally means you have to change the internals quite a bit. And we tried a lot of things, but frankly, this is the best camera setup that we've been able to manage. As you can see, this unit looks absolutely unique. When you see a Poco X3 out there, you are not going to mistake it for any other phone, and that makes it even more unique. What we have is a 4-camera setup led by the Sony IMX682 64MP sensor. Along with the main sensor, you also get a 13-megapixel 119-degree ultra-wide lens. Now this takes stunning pictures, as we will see later, but to complete the entire array, you also get a depth camera and a macro camera. Now that 64MP camera combined with Poco's image optimizations gives you stunning results. Results like this one. Now just take a look at this particular image. This is a really challenging image to capture for most smartphone cameras. The light actually has gone behind the buildings, and even with that, you can see the entire dynamic range of the sky being kept as is. What I absolutely love is the reflection that you see in the water. But while all of that beauty is being captured, just take a look at the greenery in the middle of the frame. The details are intact. In fact, the different shades of green have also been retained, which is normally very difficult. And if you move your eyes to the buildings, you can literally count every window, and that talks a lot about the sharpness and the clarity of the image too. Moving on to the next lens, which is the 13 megapixel 119 degrees field of view ultra wide lens. Now this one also takes stunning shots. Of course, it isn't a Poco, it has to. But take a look at this particular image. Now this image is really interesting, right? This is an indoor shot, but with that and ultra wide coming in, there are a couple of challenges that most cameras would face, but not the Poco X3. The first thing I want to talk about is the dynamic lighting here. Of course, there's harsh lighting coming in from the sky roof, but while maintaining all of those details, you can even see the clouds in the sky through the roof, and that is remarkable. But the other aspect that most cameras falter on when it comes to ultra wide angles is distortion around the edges. This is one of the reasons why we picked this particular image, because you can see the entire distortion management around the edges has been done perfectly. And this is what you expect out of an ultra wide lens. And now moving on to the macro cameras. And here I'd like to kind of show you one of my favorite images. Now this image, as you can see, is of a mechanical assembly. But what I absolutely love, apart from the fact that it's captured all the details, is it's also retained the surface texture of the metal all around. And that plays in beautifully with this light. And of course, that's a testament on what that camera is capable of capturing every time you're taking macro images. And the last lens, which is the depth camera, gives you brilliant portrait shots. Shots like this one, where you can clearly see the subject being separate from the background. And what's also really notable is the varying depth of field. And obviously, when you're taking a portraiture, the subject is most important. And as you can see in this case, the sharpness of the subject is on point. Even the edge detection around the hair, which obviously a lot of phones falter on, is completely in focus.
At Poco, we have relentless focus on quality, which thereby makes Poco the #1 quality smartphone brand in the country. We want all our Poco fans to enjoy the Poco devices for a very long time. And hence, for the very first time in Poco, we are bringing to you the IP53 rating on Poco X3. In addition, the 120Hz display also comes with the protection of Corning Gorilla Glass 5. If that was not enough, we are also adding a case to ensure your phone is protected at all times. Quality doesn't just end at hardware. At Poco, we give a lot of importance on software as well. If you see, on all the Poco devices, we give something called the Poco Clean Experience. Very fluid, and most importantly, no ads. Poco X3 is a complete package. It comes with a fast and superior Snapdragon 732G chipset, a 120Hz display, a massive 6000 mAh battery, 33-watt charger in the box, 64 megapixel AI quad camera. What more do you need? I'll tell you what more you need, the pricing. Now before we move on to the pricing, let's take a quick look at the comparison. Now let's compare Poco X3 vis-a-vis Realme 7 Pro. Poco X3 has a larger display, a massive 6000 mAh battery, a 120Hz panel, and the world's first Snapdragon 732G chipset, which is far superior than Snapdragon 720G. The Realme 7 Pro is priced at 19,999 for the 6128 variant. So what should Poco X3 be priced for? The Poco X3 comes in 3 variants: the 6GB RAM, 64GB storage, 6GB RAM, 128GB storage, and 8GB RAM, 128GB storage. Now to the availability, Poco X3 will start retailing on 29 September at 12 noon on our partner platform, Flipkart. So that is Poco X3, guys. We would now like to take